Hey everyone, this is Mike. Today we're back at Wizard of Legend as the Thundering Keep update came out last night. Now, in this update, of course, we have our new lightning boss, the new area, as well as all of the elemental enemies that go together with the lightning elemental stage. But not only that, we've also had a few other additions to the game. So, there are new Arcana, including 6 new basic Arcana that are also charged basics. Now, this is a new type of Arcana that they added to the game, which is basically when you hold down the button for the basic Arcana, it's going to charge up, and then once it's done its charge, you get a different kind of attack. You can see me using it in the background as well, and I'll probably put some other examples of that in the background as well. Now, the triggering itself takes a little bit too long to my liking, but there is a relic that makes it so that the charge goes a lot faster, meaning that there is less time for you to get hit by enemies whilst you are waiting for the Arcana to charge. So charge basics I think is a really cool concept. I quite like all of them as well. I think there's only like 1 or 2 I'm not a big fan of, but other than that they all look pretty cool, and it's really nice to have some extra variety in that. Of course, we also got some new dash Arcana, normal standards, and then of course a few signatures. These signatures are both for the new Arcana as well as signature versions of already existing Arcana before the update. Of course, together with new Arcana we also got new relics. These, depending, like some of them are kind of thematically for each different element. Like for example, when you take the water elemental one, every time you use a water Arcana, you have a chance to reset cooldowns, for example, or to like cut them by half or something like that. So that's really cool. And then for example with the thunder one, you have an increased stun chance. So it's really cool to see that all of these elemental builds, or like an elemental focused build, is getting some love as well. Now, not only that, but we also got some new robes that we can use. One is purely for gem gain and gold gain, so I think that's really good for when you are, for example, new to the game and you're trying to get all of the things unlocked. That's going to be a really useful one. But for the players that really enjoy endless mode, they also got a robe for themselves. It's called the leveling robe, and you basically start off with minus 50 stats, or minus 50% to 3 of your important stats, which is HP, damage, and signature gain. But then as you defeat enemies throughout the trials, you're going to be leveling up the robe, and then eventually you're going to be getting 50% bonus on those 3 stats, and if you upgrade the robe you can get up to 75% bonus of those stats. Now, I tried it out earlier in a normal run. By the time that you reach the final boss, you basically just break even. I think I had a 2% increase on all of those 3 stats by the time that I reached the final boss. So when it comes to a normal playthrough, the leveling rope is not necessarily that good, because you're mainly going to be running around with minus stats for most of the fight, and then by the time you reach the final boss, that's where you finally get a very minor increase. But when you decide to go for an endless run, I think this is going to be probably the best rope out there for when you want to do endless. Now, outside of this, there were also some quality of life changes. For example, robes now also are displayed in your inventory, so you can always go and check what the exact stats are. The exact stats are now also visible on the robes themselves, because before this they just said increases damage, increases crit rate or something like that, but you didn't know by how much. Now if you open up your inventory, you can see exactly how these stats are affecting you as well. Now, they also changed a couple of other things. For example, the defense stat has been completely removed and is now basically merged together with the armor stat. So basically armor is the only defensive stat that you have now, so you don't have defense as well as armor. It's just going to be armor now. Other than this, they also adjusted some of the existing Arcana. For example, Mentis Imperium got a pretty big rework, but there were also some other Arcana and relics as well that got some small additions or some small changes to them to make them better, as a quality of life change right there. Now, the other cool thing as well is that we didn't only get a new lightning area with, of course, the lightning appropriate elemental enemies, but they also added a new type of elemental enemy in all of the different elemental stages as well, which is going to be the elemental wizard. So when you go back into the other areas, be it lightning, fire, ice, thunder, whatever, you're also going to be encountering wizards that are now elementally attuned as well. So that's another new enemy type that you can look forward to getting destroyed by as well. Of course, there's also some new Chaos Arcana. This was mainly to add to more variety. For example, we got a charged basic for the Chaos Arcana as well, which is very quickly becoming one of my favorite basics, because it looks really cool. And if you've seen my previous video, I'm a guy that likes sides. and it is a side, of course, so it looks really cool. We also got a second Chaos Dash because there was only one to choose from, and they also added a Chaos Agent, which is something that a lot of people were asking for. I'm not really a big fan of the Agent Arcana, but in general I think it is a good addition that it is now also there for people that do like to run with a lot of agents, that you now have a Chaos version of that as well. So all in all, I think the update has been pretty great. It's also completely free, so if you've owned the game before, it is totally free for you as well. The game will just update itself and you'll have access to all of the new cool stuff. If you haven't bought the game yet and you're considering to do so, the game is also currently 50% off Steam, so I'll leave a link down in the description so you can go and buy it, because if you don't have this game yet and you're a fan of roguelikes, then I don't know what you're doing. Just go and get it right now, because this game is one of my favorites, if not my favorite roguelike of all time. I ended up backing it on Kickstarter like a few years back when I first heard of it, and I definitely have not regretted that choice. So Wizard of Legend is 50% off on Steam. The new update is out, adding a bunch of new stuff: Arcana, Relics, Robes, and a whole new area for you to explore and get killed by. So that's pretty much gonna be it for me. I hope you enjoyed it. Go buy Wizard of Legends if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.